My most intense mushroom trip. Time dilation, reality construction, God and self-realization. A mushroom trip report from actualize.org, uploaded June 5th, 2022. Disclaimer. Please read with an open mind, especially if you've never done psychedelics. Yes, given the forum where I'm posting this, I feel confident the reader has the most open mind humanly possible. Outside of the hallucinogenic and psychedelic state, and within normal everyday experience, what is being expressed here will seem too far-fetched, egotistical, or delusional. That is understandable, but a level of acceptance for truth and understanding is needed. Whilst I was in this psychedelic state, I knew at the core of my being that what I experienced and felt, although unexpected, was genuine and true. Strain, golden teachers, 4 grams dried chewed, with a teaspoon of honey and lemon dissolved in a little water to combat the taste. Note, I wasn't documenting and keeping track of the time. I just know that I chewed and swallowed the goldens around 2 PM. The whole trip lasted around 4.5 hours, and I welcomed back reality around 6:30 PM. The trip started out as usual with intense colours and visuals, although it was more prominent this time compared to my first trip experience in the past. It lasted longer as well, which began to concern me as I go on to explain below. The onset of the experience was trippy, colourful, geometrical, and beautiful. My senses were heightened as expected. Everything I looked at appeared more vibrant, and textures and forms stood out like raised plateaus of the Grand Canyon. Time dilation. I was enjoying the experience at first, but as the trip neared its peak, time seemed to slow down and drag on. This was a brand new experience for me. I kept glancing at the digital clock on my oven, and it seemed the minutes were barely going by, even though it seemed I was spending a lot longer inside the trip. It's as if time sped up within my mind, and I was thinking at a very high speed, but relative to the passage of time within my mind, the clock on my oven and on my phone seemed to be barely counting down the minutes. It was like the room outside my mind was in a different time and place versus the room inside my mind, and I was having a hard time differentiating between the two. The visuals were now intensifying and becoming worrisome. It appeared as if I was starting to view reality, or what appeared as reality, in a sort of wonky, colourful and hallucinogenic manner, but it was all taking place within my own mind. It seemed as if imagination had now taken over reality. While some aspects of reality still remained, such as the layout of my room, my 4 walls, the correct location of the objects in my room, but my brain, it seemed, was either swallowing up reality or spitting out my imagination into the outside world. As the experience began to intensify and the visuals got stronger, it got to the point where it didn't matter whether I kept my eyes open or shut. It was just a burst of hypnagogia. With my eyes open, my room was there as is, but very dreamlike. If I shut my eyes, it was like being transported into a world of dynamical and geometrical lines of ethereal colours and shapes. It seemed as if both my mind and reality were merging and morphing into each other, and it felt like I was losing my grip on reality. This realisation scared me to the core, so I decided I've had enough and started to drink some water to hopefully flush the chemicals out of my body. I was able to do this twice, going from sitting on the sofa, holding and hugging myself, to sitting on the floor, to walking to the bathroom, to peeing, to trying to calm myself by telling myself to take it easy. It was going to be okay, and then repeating the process again and again. I don't even know if I was actually doing this after the 3rd or 4th attempt, or if I had just imagined the repetition. This is when I started to get really scared. Because the experience seemed familiar every time, as if I was stuck in some kind of a loop trying to get this over and done with, but then I was just starting over each time. This is when it suddenly hit me like a ton of bricks, that maybe this was the end of my life. I screwed up. I took too high a dosage and effectively ruined my life. All sorts of scenarios started to play out inside my head. Was I going to be stuck in this loop forever, like an endless Black Mirror episode? What if this never ends? I started to have a whole newfound respect for the shroom. It's not like I didn't respect these substances before, but my respect for it grew by leaps and bounds. Never again was I going to ever try this. This is too much. I can't handle it. I was now wishing I had someone with me. I had to force myself to calm down, and kept telling myself, take it easy, stabilise, calm down, breathe. It is going to pass. At one point, nausea started to set in, and I felt as if I was going to pass out. and I struggled to force myself to lie down and just breathe, which helped to an extent. After some time, I sat back up and drank some more water. I went to pee, came back to the sofa, and again, the same loop as if I had already done this before, and I was just repeating the process again and again. I closed my eyes and whispered silently, "God, please let this be over." I was genuinely worried that I was going to end up in an insane asylum and fuck up my whole life. Reality construction. I sat back down on the sofa and just started to ponder why I was stuck in this endless loop, and will it ever end, when suddenly and unexpectedly an understanding began to settle in. I was creating this time loop. It was all me. I began to ponder this, and as I looked around the room, I suddenly had a deep realization that I was creating this room constantly, like magically bringing together countless pieces of a large puzzle to put my room together. I was creating this moment, this experience. If I'm continuously reliving this experience, it cannot be in reality. It has to be an occurrence within my own mind. And if my mind was so powerful that it could give me this very convincing experience of being stuck inside a time loop, then what is real? Was my mind really so much more powerful than I ever realised? All the visuals, the time dilation, the way my room appeared. Holy shit. There is no reality. There is no out there. Out there is all in your head. The clarity of this understanding astounded me. Time and space, as I began to realise, is a construction of my own mind. This moment was not occurring somewhere out there. It was happening right here within my mind. I was creating it all. And if so, why only create within the confines of my room? This life, this whole universe was occurring within my own mind. I was creating it all. Every time I shifted my eyes in a different direction, it seemed like the walls and objects of my room wobbled into place, as if being constructed out of nothing, but exactly where I was supposed to see it. But not just that. I created every single scenario throughout my entire lifetime that eventually led to this very moment. God, self-realization. This moment of realization that I was creating my reality was the nexus point to my knowing that I was a god of my own reality. My life, my universe, even the laws of physics contained within this universe. I was no longer Anthony. I was still Anthony, but that was just a small fragment, a framework, a single perspective within a much grander scale. Everything I've read thus far about people saying, you are God, why don't you realise that? It suddenly hit me. Yes, I was God. But it's not like I just realised it. I knew it for a fact. This is truth. My God, this is the truth. My entire life brought me to this moment of realisation. Everything I ever did, all my mistakes, my quirks, my idiosyncrasies, my struggles, my joys, the people I met, the books I've read, all the countless videos I've watched, all for the sake of trying to understand what this was all about, was all necessary and perfect. It was exactly as it was supposed to be. I flipping did all that to lead me to this nexus point of realising that I am God. I'd crossed some sort of line where my life as I knew it had come to an end, and from this moment forward, it was just me as God. There was no one else, just me. I recreate the universe from this moment forward, and now I had to start over. This was both a sense of relief and also an immense burden. What about my family, my siblings, my parents, everyone I was close to? I created them all? Seriously? At one moment I was experiencing immense love and joy at this realisation. But then again I realised as God, my life as that dude called Anthony had come to an end. I was just the whole of the universe condensed into a lifetime, but from here on I have to now relive every life again and again. I had to suffer. I have to feel immense pain and misery. It's an endless process of repeating the experiencing. It is one thing to hear about this understanding from someone else. It seems far-fetched and unbelievable as much as you want it to be true. But it's another thing to actually experience it firsthand. But not just that. You also realise it was all an illusion. Just a mind construction. Every facet of my life, of reality, of the people I met, in person or online, through videos, through podcasts, telling me things, showing me things, trying to point me towards something grander and greater than myself. It was all me. I was pointing to myself. As them, I was guiding them towards myself, but not myself as a human, but myself as a god. They were all constructions of me as God. I constructed and orchestrated it all. I stood up, completely in awe. My jaw dropped to the floor. The clarity of this understanding was so powerful and shocking that it froze me to the core. I stood still, looking straight ahead at nothing in particular, but my mind racing and thinking at the speed of light, bringing together all my years of learning, listening, reading and contemplating. So much contemplating. It all fell neatly into place, as if every facet of understanding was a requisite piece of the ultimate puzzle that constructed the whole of this truth. It was magnificent. It was brilliant. It was the greatest design ever, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. It all made sense now. There is only me. I am the beginning. And even prior to that, before anything, before time and before space, there is just me. And what is there for me to do here? Nothing really. I'm all alone here. There is no one else. I am it. So why not create? Why not unfold and bring forth life? Fragmented parts of myself to create billions of species, billions of perspectives, live countless lives, countless experiences again and again in every possible scenario imaginable. I was genuinely humbled by this experience, and this bears repeating. I didn't just know myself as God, I actually became God. As egocentric and maniacal as this may sound from my human perspective, and to anyone reading this, I apologise. No one likes to hear you say you're God, but I don't know what else to call this intelligence that I became. And it's not that I became God, but realised that really there was no me, no other, nothing. There is just God. That moment in my room, that moment of God realisation was the tipping point. It was as if my point of view went full circle from unrealised human to God realised. I wasn't prepared for this, and neither was God. God was just as surprised. I, as God, was just as surprised that this was the case. But I'm unclear who had forgotten. Was it God itself, or me as God who forgets? And it has to go through this process of realisation that it is God, but it can only do so by first forgetting and then realising, forgetting and realising. It's like going in a circle again and again. And if you, the reader, were to have this experience, or did have the experience, it will be God realising itself and surprising itself again through you. When you're fast asleep and having a dream, you never realise it is a dream. You believe the lie of the dreamscape. You believe the story and you go with it. Within the dream, you see colours and space and entire landscapes rich in detail and imagery, and it completely fools you. But when you wake up, you soon realise it was your mind creating it all. The people, the landscape, the empty space, the ideas, the script. It was all made of mind stuff. In a sense, your mind is the God of the dream world. This was no different. It's just one step up. It's all consciousness. A dream universe within God. At this point I was floored, amazed and in complete awe. I kept saying, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable." But even as I said that, I knew this is how it's supposed to be. It can be no other way. The universe itself is being. There is only being. Only intelligence. The only intelligence that can create. This intelligence is everywhere. This intelligence is the universe unfolding. It wants to. What else can it do with unlimited creative power but just create? I looked out my window in my psychedelic state, at the buildings and people and cars going by, and I marvelled at my creation. I've no idea how long I stood looking out. I was completely taken aback by this realisation of my true nature. At the same time, I was excited and looking forward to more creation, but it seemed as if I would never forget this moment of God realising I am, and would always remain in this state from where I can create anything I wanted. I was no longer worried about my family, my life, my situation or anything at all. because I knew it would all be okay. It was already perfect. Things will always work out in the end. By now, I was also feeling reality starting to stabilise, and in a way, I wanted it to. I wanted to come down back to my reality. I need stability. But at the same time, I didn't want this realisation to end. Thankfully, reality slowly started to stabilise, and my own mind as a human being began to take over. In a way, I was sincerely thankful for this experience to end and for my life as a human to return. It was very nightmarish to consider I was losing my mind and being stuck in some kind of a time loop without end. But following the nightmare, I welcomed the realisation that took over of how I was constructing my reality and merging with the God source. That moment of merging was sincerely genuine and truthful, and something I will remember for as long as I live. Closing remarks. I'm conflicted now more than I've ever been. While I'm thankful I glimpsed some genuine truths, and as I came out of the trip, I also momentarily entered a state of depression and longing, because that moment of God realisation was over. Although at the time it seemed so genuine and blissful, I thought I would be permanently locked in this creative state. It was so real. It felt as if my life as a human had ended. Time had come to an end. Now was all there is. And from this moment on, I am just God and I want to create. I'm not a depressive person, and thankfully that feeling didn't last. But I would caution anyone to be careful with these substances as repeated and stressed by many other tripsters here. Finally, thank you, Leo, for your insights and depth of consciousness in all matters concerning truth. It certainly helped me understand and piece together the experience more holistically.